So I wanted to introduce you today to our friend Comfrey. This lovely thing here, Symphytum officinale. This is a wonderful, wonderful healing plant, and it's been used throughout the ages to help repair tissues and mend broken bones, heal wounds. Its common name was knitbone. And this is the English Comfrey, Symphytum officinale, and you can tell it because it has these little winged attachments that run down the side of the leaf. They're called a decurrent attachment, and it distinguishes itself from the Russian Comfrey by that little winged keel on the edge of the leaf. Not so long ago, the ability to use Comfrey as an internal remedy was removed due to some studies done which showed that the plant has pyrrolidazidine alkaloids, but Comfrey works differently to the extract of the alkaloid once it's inside its body. But for safety's sake, we say that you can't use Comfrey internally. Nonetheless, it's a wonderful, wonderful plant to be used externally. It's a very, very simple medicine to make. We can just take some of these stems here, and these can be infused into some oil. I have some Comfrey oil running all the time, and it's often used to make into ointments or creams, often used with animals for animal injuries. We get a few bobtail lizards around here that get run over by lawnmowers or brush cutters and end up with lacerations in the body. And just the oil from Comfrey infused oil, just poured over the body every day for several months, can end up healing the wounds, and the animal recovers and repairs. So there's a few bobtails wandering around that have had the benefits of Comfrey oil. Comfrey's full of allantoin. Again, this is a wonderful wound healing and skin repair amino acid. It's strongest in the stems, so we use a lot of stem and some of the leaf when we're making a preparation. In the old days, of course, Comfrey was used as in stock feeds as well. We don't do that so much these days. But if you have Comfrey growing around the edges of your chicken pen, you'll find that chickens and goats will eat small amounts of Comfrey regularly because the animals know what they need. So it has sort of slightly hairy leaves. They're a little bit prickly. But once it's bruised and extracted, that's no longer a problem. Comfrey can often be used in poultices too. Excellent around broken bones, injured bones, sprains, bruises. Some bruised Comfrey leaf kind of put onto the skin and then wrapped up with a cloth and left overnight will help with the repair process. So we'll take some of this material plant and we'll go and chop it up and we'll put it into some oil. So we have our Comfrey plant material here. So we're just going to cut it up into small pieces and put it into the jar. Oops. And just into small enough pieces to be able to extract some of the actives out of the plant with the oil. So it's whatever that's oil soluble goes into the mixture. One of the things we need to do is exclude as much water as possible. And Comfrey has a lot of proteins in it, so it can go off quite easily if it's left too long. So it's one of those plants that we don't leave too long in the oil, maybe sort of 9, 10, 11 days. After that, there is the chance that it can start to spoil. And Comfrey oil, once it's spoiled, is a smell that you won't forget. So it's better to avoid that if you can. It's better not to pick Comfrey leaves on a day when it's been raining, so that we don't introduce more oil than is needed into the oil, more water than is oil, so we'll just cut that bit. So it's better to cut Comfrey, harvest Comfrey on a day when it hasn't been raining, because we don't want to introduce extra water into the oil mixture, because the water can breed bacteria which can cause the mixture to spoil. So there we go. So we've got our jar nice and full, And it's just loosely packed down, not too tightly packed, just allowing the oil to be able to seep in through all of the plant material. So we've got a nice cold pressed olive oil here. And we just fill this jar all the way up to the top. And it's really important to make sure that there are no air bubbles in the plant material. So once it's full, we'll come back and check it a bit later and gently move the plant material around and make sure that all the air bubbles have come to the surface and that the plant material is completely covered with oil, so there's no air contact and it reduces the likelihood of bacteria forming. There we go, and I'll let that sit for a little while and then stir it to make sure that all of the air bubbles have gone. And so this becomes the starting medium to then make other medicines for which we can use Comfrey for externally. And we've had some wonderful, wonderful results with mixtures of Comfrey and other herbs to help with healing broken bones, with repairing back injuries that have been inoperable, and that's been in the form of ointments and capsules, with wonderful results, significant pain relief. It requires some other herbs, but Comfrey is the main base herb for those sorts of formulations. But really it's like a primary wound healing, surface wound healing herb. Helps tissue heal remarkably well. It can heal quite quickly. If you've got any open wounds, it's important to make sure they're very, very clean, because the Comfrey will help seal it over very fast. You need to make sure that the tissue underneath is quite sterile. So that's our dear friend Comfrey. Wonderful as an external application for all sorts of wound healing possibilities.